Good morning. This is Stephen Lewis. I'm talking to you. Coming today to discuss Reading Liberty's Contradiction, the anti-slavery movement in early America before 1820. This is a presentation for the Regional AP U.S. History and Educators Symposium. The anti-slavery movement in early America before 1820 was not a monolithic crusade, but a diverse, contested effort waged across pulpits, printing presses, and legislative halls. Understanding it requires what historians call historical literacy, the ability to read primary documents carefully, situating them within their time, and interrogating their purpose, audience, and argument. This presentation is designed for AP U.S. History students and their educators at a regional academic symposium uses 4 period documents to illuminate the movement's major themes: moral philosophy, political hypocrisy, the horrors of the slave trade, and the emerging voice of Black Americans in the anti-slavery cause. The earliest and perhaps most philosophically rigorous strand of anti-slavery thought appears in David Rice's Slavery Inconsistent with Justice and Good Policy, published in Lexington, Kentucky in 1792 under the pseudonym Philanthropos. Rice, a Presbyterian minister writing for Kentucky's Constitutional Convention, opened with a challenge that cut to the Republican heart of the young nation. A slave is a human creature made by law, the property of another human creature, and reduced by mere power to an absolute unconditional subjection to his will. He argued that a country which declared all men free could not simultaneously enslave them without proclaiming its own inconsistency to the world. Placing this document for students invites foundational historical literacy. Questions: who was Rice's audience? Why did he choose a pseudonym? What does that choice reveal about the political risk of anti-slavery argument in the early South? The visual and visceral dimensions of the movement are equally essential. The Philadelphia Society for Promoting the Abolition of Slavery reprinted remarks on the slave trade. New York, copyright 1807, a broadside featuring the famous diagram of the slave ship. Brooks, depicting nearly 300 enslaved people packed into the vessel's lower deck in the proportion of not quite 1 to a ton. For students who encounter slavery only in the abstract, this document, a devastating image paired with eyewitness testimony, demands simultaneous emotional and analytical engagement, asking students to describe what they see before interpreting what they know is itself a foundational literacy exercise. By 1811, the movement had embraced illustrated narrative to reach broader audiences. The Mirror of Misery, or Tyranny Exposed, published by Samuel Wood in 1811, combined engravings of iron shackles, muzzles, and flogging scenes with testimony drawn from parliamentary evidence. Its call was unflinching: let now every honest man lay his hand on his breast and seriously reflect whether he is justifiable in countenancing such barbarities. As their classroom document, it invites discussion of how abolitionists use material, culture, and image alongside text to persuade audiences who might resist purely rational argument. Perhaps most vital for historical literacy is Russell Parrott's address on the abolition of the slave trade, delivered before the African Benevolent Societies of Philadelphia on January 1, 1816, the 8th anniversary of Congress's ban on the international slave trade. Parrott, a free Black member of the Benevolent Philanthropic Society, gave students a voice they rarely encounter in survey courses. He argued that slavery's apparent degradation of Black people was more the result of the state of disfranchisement in which he existed than to any natural disability. His address challenges students to ask whose perspectives have been centered in the histories they have been taught and whose have been systematically omitted. Together, these primary sources reveal an anti-slavery movement that was theologically grounded, politically sophisticated, visually compelling, and increasingly multiracial in its leadership. For a classroom or symposium committed to historical literacy, they are not supplements to the narrative. They are the narrative itself. Thank you. Have a good day.